So I'm excited to tell you what I've done to this thing. It's been in the process for a while, but had the major part of the build done, and then I've been doing a few things myself, and then working on a couple kinks and stuff like that. So it's taken a little bit to get to where kind of wanted to go around and kind of show you what I've done and the upgrades, what I put on it, and all that. Anyway, so this is a 2023 Jeep Wrangler JLU with the 392 Hemi in it, which I really like. It's pretty awesome. I like my other Jeep. I still, you know, it's awesome too. But having that Hemi in there for some things has just been, it's been awesome. Especially pulling my overland trailer. Shoot, man, you can be cruising through the mountains. You have so much power. You need to pass somebody, you can just rip right out and pass them, even pulling the trailer. So and that's kind of why I decided to get this. It's because of 392. Hopefully one day I'll put that in my other Jeep as well. But this has been a fun build. I mean, I've really enjoyed building this one. I enjoy just sitting down and just figuring out what I want to do to them. And so it was fun. I did that on my last one, just doing a lot of research and what I want to do, and did the same thing with this. Of course, there's a lot of things that I have on my other, I guess I shouldn't say my last one, my other Jeep, because I still have it, that I put on this, and then one even a little bigger, and I don't know, build a little stronger or heavier, I guess. But anyway, I'm going to start off up here in the front. This is the factory bumper, but you know, I've been kind of going back and forth if I wanted to leave it or not, and so I pretty much decided I'm going to leave it for now. I actually like the looks of it. I did take the ends off. They had the ends that come out here. Of course, they wouldn't work with these tires, so I did take those off, and I really like it that way. So I haven't done anything. I haven't put the winch in yet because I was trying to decide what I was going to do, and then putting all my money into other parts of it. But that's the next thing that I'll end up putting in, is a winch. Probably I need to do it before winter. When we start doing snow wheeling stuff, I'd like to have it in here. So I'm going to do the same thing as I did on my other Jeep, and I'm going to go with the Warren Xeon 10,000S. So it's going to have the synthetic rope. It's worked really good in my other Jeep, so I'm going to do the same thing in this. So that's the next thing I'm going to do when it comes to the Jeep. But anyway, moving from there, on the front, I did the fender chop. I went with the Quake LED, and these are smoked ones. I like the looks of it. For now, I mean, it looks good with the factory fenders done the way it is. More than likely, somewhere down the way, I might change them and do something different. But for now, this was a good way to go. Save me a little bit of money by just doing the fender chop and then doing the LED light here. So that's pretty awesome. I like them. And this is the Rubicon model, which I think that's the only thing the 392 comes in, is the Rubicon. And this isn't I think it's the Recon, or I can't remember the name of the package, but Extreme Recon, I think. I didn't get that. The reason is because, well, you can see, I'm going to take all that stuff off anyway. So I just went with the regular 392 Rubicon. So anyway, so that kind of covers the front. The engine stock, I mean, well, not the engine. There's nothing in the engine compartment. There's nothing. I haven't done anything in there. Well, was one thing I've done that's up in there, but it's also down in here. So then that would be, I did do a PSE steering. And so there's the canister and all that stuff's up there, but running this size of tire, I mean, you got to have that PSE steering. I've got it on my other Jeep, and when I went from not having that to having it, oh, it's night and day difference. I mean, you get on the trails, and in fact, the first time I took it up one of the canyons, you know, pretty good rock crawling thing, I went all the way up there and got done. I'm like, all of a sudden just dawned on me, hey, I have lockers on and everything. I didn't have any problems turning. Didn't even think about it. But before, oh yeah, it was a fight. But anyway, so I do have the PSE steering. I put that in. Let's move around to the side here and take a look at some of the stuff on the side. All right, so moving around here to the side, I'll start with the tires. So I went with a Nitto trail grappler like I have on my other Jeep. Really love these tires. These things, I mean, they're tough. I mean, you can put them through all kinds of abuse, and they've held up. They wear good. They're, you know, I think they're probably the quietest mud tire. Well, they are the quietest mud tire I've ever run. The quietest one that I know of. Run good. The balance, and you know, when you have them balanced, they're just for this big a tire to run as smooth as they do. Very impressive. But anyway, so I went with a 42, 13.5 by a 20-inch wheel. And so when I decided to buy the 392, I was like, well, I got enough power. I want to go 42. I just want to do it. So I did. So I went with the 42, KMC wheel, grenade, beadlock. I like the style of them. I think these came out not very long after I built my other Jeep, but I do like them. So super happy with these tires, and I really like the KMC wheels. I've got the KMC wheels on my other Jeep. They're the Machete ones, but they're good. They're great. And the rocks, I mean, to be able to air down, whether we're in the snow or in the rocks, or even just on rough terrain where you can just get that better ride. It just makes a huge difference. So, and then going from there, I kind of went with the same setup. It's sprung different because of the bigger motor and, you know, all that, but I went with the Rebel Off-Road's Recon coilover kit, the King coilover kit. And this thing, I mean, I'm really happy with, it rides good. This thing, it actually is this Jeep's really solid feeling. I mean, it just feels good. But it just rides good coming out here. You know, I can cruise along 40, 50 miles an hour, and the road's not terrible, but it's, you know, it's got some bumps and stuff, and it just rides good. And that's aired up. That's not even aired down. So I went with their kit, and then I went with the TerraFlex long arm, the Alpine IR long arm kit. Run that on my other Jeep. Didn't have that on at the beginning, but down the way I put that on, and it made a huge difference. Especially going this big to have, I think you pretty much need to go a long arm. But anyway, really happy with that. Of course, I had my other one, so I, you know, decided to go with the same suspension when it comes to the long arm, the coilovers. Then going from there, so on my other Jeep, I ran the Anti-Rock sway bar on the back, but I ran the factory Rubicon sway bar on the front. I mean, the factory Rubicon sway bar has been good. I mean, the only thing I didn't like about it is when you get going faster, it'll reconnect. And I got the Taser Mini in it, and I never could get it to, I mean, I could get it to where you could go faster than like 15. You know, you might be able to get up to 25 to 30, but it always reconnect. And then, but so anyway, so far I really like this. So I've got the Anti-Rock's sway bar on the front and the rear. I decided to go with it on the front to see what it's like, and so far I really like it, and it's just nice. It rides really good. So happy with it. I kind of did that too because eventually I do want to go with a little higher profile bumper just to give you a little more clearance in the front, and that gets rid of that sway bar, or I mean the factory sway bar, and it just allows me to put something a little more minimal on the front. Give me a little more, you know, better approach angle. So that kind of takes care of the suspension if I'm not missing anything. But, and then with the Rebel Off-Road, I did do the kit comes with bump stops on the front, and I did go ahead and have them put the rear ones in too, just like my other Jeep. So, so let's just slide down the Jeep just a little bit and talk about some more stuff. Actually, before we slide down the Jeep, one thing I haven't talked about is the axles. So I went with Dynatrac again. My other Jeep has a 60/60, and I went the 68.5 wide, which is I think the factory width. If I'm pretty sure that's factory width. So since I was going bigger with 42-inch tires, I went to the next axle set, which is the 60 and the 80 in the rear. So I went with that. And then I went with the 72.5 width, so it actually has a wider stance, which I'm glad I did. I like the looks of it, but also it's quite a bit taller than my other Jeep. So just having that little bit better stance, I think I haven't had a chance to get out and really do a lot of wheeling and rock crawling. I've done just enough to kind of get on some rocks to kind of test out the flex and stuff, trying to make sure everything's working. And there are some kinks I had to work out, and I'm just getting through all that stuff now. So here before long, I'm going to be taking out the rocks and really putting it through it, just so I can, probably nothing major hard, but just get out there and really go through, just to make sure there's nothing else that I need to adjust or change. But anyway, so yeah, I went with that. And then in these axles, I'm running the 538 just like I did in my other Jeep. But the other one, I went with the E-lockers. This one, well, I don't even think you can get the E-locker in these from what they were telling me. I went with the ARB air lockers. So we'll see how that goes. I kind of veered away from that on my other Jeep just because I'd seen so many guys have air leaks and stuff. But since then, they're supposed to be stronger. And since then, I've heard as long as they're set up right, you really don't have any problems. And so far, which I haven't done much with it yet, but it seems to be working, really well. But that's going to take some time running them, and I'll probably do a review and just kind of tell you my thoughts on that after I've had them, probably for a year or so, and be able to really get out and use them. So yeah, I went with that axle set, and I'm glad I did. Really, they recommend if you go to 42s, you need to go the 60-80. So that's what I did, and I'm happy with it. And I'm happy with the wider stance. So all right, now let's slide back just a little bit. Okay, just sliding back a little bit. I kind of was trying to decide what to do on the rock sliders. That's one of the things I didn't do. So I had Boise 4x4, do the suspension, put the axles in, the tires, do all the main stuff, all that stuff, the air locker or the compressor, and to run the air lockers and all that. But then there was some stuff I've done after the fact. One of them is the rock sliders. I was trying to decide to go, because on my other Jeep I've got Moto-Bilt's rock sliders, and I like them. They've been solid. But so I was trying to decide whether to go back with that. The only thing is, this Jeep is a bit taller than my other one, and so my brother has them, and they've held up really good on his. So I did go with the Rock Slide Engineer, which I am glad I did. They do look good. It is nice having that step, as tall as it is, to get in. I mean, I could get in fine before, but you just have to swing your leg up and really jump to get in. But it does make it nicer. It does have a switch so that you can turn them off, so when you're rock crawling, you're not going to mess them up. But yeah, really, I'm glad I went that way. I wasn't sure that's what I wanted to do, but once I got to a point, I finally was like, all right, that's what I'm doing. And I'm glad I did. So anyway, let's kind of move around to the back of the Jeep. All right, so moving to the back here on the Jeep, I decided not to run a spare tire. That's a 42 is a big tire. A lot more, quite a bit of weight on there. So I do have a spare. So like if we're gonna load up and go to Moab or just somewhere we're gonna rock crawl, I can always throw it on the trailer and then I'll have it with me. But anyway, so I decided not to go. Kind of a little cleaner look, and I don't know, I like the look with the spare tire on too, so either way is fine with me. But so I was trying to decide what to do on there, and after taking it out, right after I got built, I did a video on that, the first camping trip, just kind of testing things out. It does drink fuel. So I think so far I'm getting between 12 and 13. Pulling the trailer, less than that, but not a lot less. When it was stock, I drove from the Boise area up to Stanley and back, and when I hit the valley, I was getting 19 miles a gallon, which is pretty incredible for a 392. But running around town, I was getting 15, 16, but not anymore. But so anyway, after going on that trip, I was trying to decide whether to go with this setup or just do just a license plate. And I was like, you know what? It'll be nice to be able to throw, I think there's 2 gallon each, so an extra 4 gallons on the back just to carry with you. And then of course on my turtleback, if I've got that, I've got another 8 gallons there. So I was like, yeah, that's kind of made my decision. I was gonna go that route, which it does look good. And it just gives you a little more fuel. But this is the Rebel Off-Road Backpack Delete kit, I guess. And I did install this. I installed the rock sliders. All just takes a little bit of time, but it's kind of enjoyable doing it anyway. But anyway, installed this, and I'm happy with it so far. Like I said, it's nice having that little bit of fuel in the back all the time. But so anyway, that's pretty much all I've done back here. Oh wait, no, there's one other thing I'm going to show you. So in here, I'm going to stand over here. So in here, well, I've got my the stuff for the air compressor, my factory 55 recovery kit. So I actually have one in my other Jeep. I just soon have one in each because a lot of times I'll jump in one and I could end up somewhere and then, oh crap, I wish I'd had that. So I just got one for both. I actually had this before. I had it in one of my pickups. So that pickup, anyway, my son's gonna end up with that pickup, so I put it back in here. But anyway, so I'm running the dual compressor, or the dual ARB air compressor. Same thing I'm running my other one. I'm really happy with it. It's worked really good for me. So I can air up my tires. All the lockers are run off of it. Works great. So that's pretty much all back here. I think though, let's just move in and kind of talk about some of the stuff inside the Jeep that I've done. Okay, so moving inside the Jeep. Kind of set this up a little different than my other one. I'll start off with the radio. Went to the rugged radio, the GMRS. It's the same radio I have in my other Jeep. I've really liked it. I like the kit. It's super easy to install. In fact, I think I did an install video on it. They come with the wiring harness for the JL that just fits all into place for your antenna and all your wiring right up to the radio. So I went with that. Really, I mean, I like it. I use the handhelds and they're fine, and that's all I was gonna use. But after you start using them, it's like they're always dead. I mean, you start up, by the end of the day, they're dead and you've got to recharge them. Sometimes they quit before you get through the day. So I just finally got to the point where I was like, you know what, it might be really nice to have one that's mounted right to your Jeep that you just turn it on and it just always works. And so I went with the rugged radio. That I had their handhelds. They worked really well. And I think the thing that sold me the most was the kit, just how they had everything set up to where you could just, I mean, it's just super easy to install. And they've done a really good job with it. So anyway, I went with that, happy with it. The next thing I did, so my other one, I went with a 67 design to hold my phone and all that kinds of stuff. Phone and the Garmin Mini, and GoPros, or whatever else you want to put on there. I think I've got on my other one, I got one for my mini iPad. But anyway, so I went with Anvil, which I'd seen on a YouTube channel, and got looking at it, and I was like, that's kind of nice, especially if you're doing what I'm doing, where you're doing some videoing. It just gives you got a bar that goes clear across, and then you can mount all the way down the bar. And I was like, that'd be nice because I can put a GoPro in a different spot. I can have a couple, 2-3 GoPros if I wanted. Spot to put my Garmin on there, a phone. I'll probably get another one, so if somebody's riding with me, they can put their phone up there too. Eventually, I might get one. I probably will get one for my mini iPad. And I've just got one for the GoPro right now, but I'm going to buy at least one, probably 2 more eventually. But I like it so far. It's actually pretty solid. I mean, the way they've got it set up, it hooks in under your where your hand grab is to get inside. Kind of hooks in there, and then it has a thing in the middle that just sets down on the dash, and you just make sure that's good and tight, and it's solid. I mean, it doesn't move, it doesn't vibrate, doesn't do it. I mean, I like it, and I just I like being able to move things around if you want to, and have plenty of room if you want to add a few things. So I kind of went with that. Then I have my mini, like I said, I got my mini Garmin on here. Right now I got a GoPro and my phone, and then I can add on whatever I want to do from down the road, I guess. And then the other thing I've done, in the very first modification I did, so I could pull my turtle back safely, is I put a brake controller, which is down here, and I don't know, it makes it's nice when you're pulling that trailer. You can definitely tell a difference when you got the brakes to work on the trailer. And so that was the very first thing I did. And then of course I went into the whole big build and then finishing up some stuff. So anyway, that kind of takes care of the front, or inside, I guess. Yeah, let's, I'm gonna jump back out and we kind of talk about a couple more things. So anyway, there's a couple other things that I forgot to mention as we're going through everything, but so for the drive shafts, I went with Adams, the Adams drive shafts, 1350. I'm running Tom Woods in my other one. The shop that I had do the job on, do the work on this one, they used Adams, which I'm fine either way. They both got really good names. Went with the heavier casing and all the beefed up stuff for rock crawling, just like my other one. And then I also got the Taser Mini that makes it so you can put all this stuff on the axles, the PSC steering, all this stuff, and you can kind of delete things and adjust for the tire size, the gear ratio, and all that. And I have that in my other Jeep as well, and it's, in fact, it does more stuff than I probably have figured out what it can do. But it's, anyway, so those are a couple things I kind of missed. So I guess let's kind of talk about maybe maybe a couple things that I want to do. So one of the things I mentioned is next thing I'm going to do, and that's going to be here pretty quick, is the winch. Going from there, I would like to get some skid plates underneath, just to kind of protect things. So that will be after the winch, somewhere before too far down in the future. I'll put skid plates on it, and then after that, probably I do want to swap out the rear bumper. That'll go. The front bumper, I'm not so worried about. The rear bumper, I know that if you get on rocks on them, they'll do some body damage. So that one, I do want to swap that out. So that's kind of the next things. I'm sure there'll be plenty more beyond that, but those are the kind of the main things I want to do here down the way. I actually have, well, one other thing I'd like to do, which is pretty major, is an Atlas transfer case, which could or could not be in the works. But anyway, so that kind of wraps up my build on my Jeep JL 392. I love this Jeep. This thing is so fun to drive. It's got so much power. You cruise along, and I really, really like it. Pulling my trailer, I like that. It pulls that so good. My other Jeep will pull it fine. Nothing like this one. I mean, it does the job pretty good for running 40s on it and just that 3.6 liter. But I mean, if I'm pulling the trailer, this is the Jeep I'll be taking. There might be a time or two I take the other, but this will be the one I take just because it pulls it so well. It's so comfortable. So anyway, I hope you liked the video. It's been fun building it. Now I get to go out and use it. But yeah, if you liked it, subscribe and hit the like button. We're going to be doing more stuff. I've been kind of busy the last little bit, so I haven't got quite as many videos out the last little bit. We're still pretty busy, but I'm going to try continue getting videos out though. And I'm thinking probably the next one we'll go out and test out in the rocks. Sometimes that changes, and I end up doing something else first, but that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. So if you want to see that, hit that subscribe button. And it definitely helps the channel out, and we'll see you on the next one.